We often get that question. There is no doubt about that. At the first glance, people look at DoubleJack and saying that's nothing else than a gambling platform. Just before the moment that people realize and understand the positive, complex, holistic system that DoubleJack is based on, it represents a gambling platform by design, so to speak, the way we look at it. But it is simply the form, the vessel that has been created. By the time humans were able to carve a dice from a piece of wood, it was used for a game of chance and luck. But what was true in ancient time is still true today. The balance between service provider and the person betting has been tilted always in favor of the provider. And the founders of DoubleJack have identified key obstacles globally and put their minds to of how financial freedom can be achieved to create generational wealth. And by the way, the founder members have no background of gambling. They are business people. They're coming from careers of investment and strategy advisories. They are financially secure and self-made. The only reason why they have chosen DoubleJack in its form, the way we see it right now, is because it gives the maximum chance to put something right. The DoubleJack platform is the language that they chose to communicate with the world and with its members, which chose themselves to make gambling and betting as part of their life, and ideally limiting themselves to the disposable incomes. Unfortunately, the reality of gambling and betting is exclusively designed to make money for the service providers, pressing and pushing their clients to put more and more funds they often can't afford, and rewarding them in moments where they're excessively gambling large amounts of money that they can't afford with an extra free token, with free spins, with treating them like a VIP member because they are now spending big bucks. For DoubleJack, those are warning signs. They establish much earlier than by the time it is already too late. The service providers don't see any alarm signs. Gambling is something, or betting is as old as human beings, I would say. By the time people found a piece of wood and they were able to carve some numbers or figures or something onto it, gambling was born. It is it is the oldest form of entertainment that is innocent, and it always has been like that. Gambling, betting has traditionally associated with the dangers within. You always hear about cases where things go wrong, and some members of the betting community fall victim to gambling and gamble money and bet money that they don't have. And often before anybody kicks in and asks what's wrong and can I help you, often that is too late. DoubleJack has come up with a system that allows for warning signs to be built into the system. The biggest difference between service providers that are generally out there and DoubleJack is that we know all members of our tree. We know them by name, we have their email addresses, and as they like to get paid in the moment that they win, we also have their banking details. When the system recognizes problematic behavior in the making and an intervention via point of contact happened, the system can then be set to certain parameters that are discussed with the person, and that will allow them to move forward. We reward them to grow the tree. So by the time they set out to the community and involve them to say, how about you joining for the financial freedom, and make sure that other people join in, that will allow them to benefit without any form of betting by just simply growing the tree, so to speak. That is the big difference between even bigger sporting clubs, big basketball clubs, big soccer clubs have millions of followers. but they can only in a monologue form push out messages, but not actually listening to their members. So there is very little feedback, and they generally don't know who is behind these people that they're pushing messages out to. So there's no form of communication, and that communication is best seen on an example where the biggest success of sporting clubs, there is an example in the UK that we were told about, where a sponsor paid £15 million for 5 years. And they got the jersey, the name, betting organization, the name on the jersey. They had their logo within the stadium and merchandise on the side banners. The biggest compliment for a soccer club or any sporting club is if you sell tickets for the whole year. That is a very strong community, old school, very loyal fans that repeatedly coming year after year. But in our case that we were told about, they were saying that they noticed that those hardcore fans stopped coming to their games. They stopped coming to purchase the next year ticket. And they didn't really know why. And I think it is fairly obvious if you look at the circle of things. People seeing the constant advertising for betting, more and more people getting involved to bet. And some of them just didn't make it for the next year to have enough money, disposable income, to buy a year ticket. And that's not just sad, but it is socially ill. DoubleJack has identified that simply because we know the members of our tree, which is not just positive in moments where something goes wrong. It is a very positive effect in the moment that you want to communicate things that are of general relevance and are important for the club, for example, or for new directions, for new initiatives. Because the beauty about DoubleJack is that it raises awareness and attention to areas in societies where the money that is being used, and let's not forget that 75% of the money that is being earned through DoubleJack goes straight back into the system. So yes, we get that question often just before folks understand the positive, complex, holistic system which DoubleJack represents. And it is here to stay because people will see that it is the only way to provide financial freedom for its members. It's a growing tree, and whoever is joining is not joining just the tree, but a social movement, so to speak.